Hey everyone, it's Mary with Stampin' in the Sand, and if one thing can't go wrong, another can. So I'm getting a late start due to not having any Wi-Fi, and now I realized I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode, so hopefully we won't get interrupted by any pesky phone calls. Hi Christina. So I'm just still checking to make sure we are good to go here, just making sure that I have actually gone live, and just checking to make sure we're straight and everything. Hi Brianna, how are you? Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. That would be horrible if I wasn't. And thank you for sharing. So I'm just trying to get organized. I'm a little messed up by coming home and realizing that we had no Wi-Fi in the house. So it looks like we are straight and everything seems to be going okay. Oh, good. Christina says everything looks and sounds good. Hi, Barbara. I'm in South Carolina too. I don't know about you, but I'm freezing and I'm tired of it. It needs to warm up. All right, so what is going on in the world? Well, today we're going to be making, Brina. Okay, well, I could have pronounced it that way, but, I was trying to be I was trying to be cool and with my pronunciations. But anyway, so here I am in freezing cold South Carolina, and I'm all bewildered and befuddled for not having the Wi-Fi and then not being as organized as I wanted to be. So here we are on Tuesday. Oh my gosh, it's the end of March. It's March 27th. I don't know where the month went. I can't believe it. So it's March 27th. What does that mean? It means we only have the rest of the week, 3 or 4 days left in celebration. So now's the time to get those orders in and get your free stuff. Don't forget, when you place an order in my online store at stampininthesand.stampinup.net and you use the exclusive hostess code that goes to my Live at 5 card classes, you get free cards and free gifts in the mail from me just for placing those orders and using those hostess codes. That's the way that I show my love and appreciation from all of you out there who are tuning in and paying attention to my classes, because I really do appreciate you. I don't know, I couldn't do these if I didn't have an audience, because it would be no fun. I'd be talking to myself. Hi Kathy. Hi Barbara again. Yeah, it's the cold. It's gotta go. It's just gotta go. We should be hot by now. We should be complaining about how hot we are, not how cold we are. It's ridiculous. So what else? So we only have a few days left of celebration. And if you know, celebration is the time of year when Stampin' Up gives you free stuff just for ordering stuff you were going to buy anyway. So when you visit my online store, if you go to the celebration section, you can see all of the free goodies you can get for orders equaling $50 and up or $100 and up. For the first time, they have 2 tiers, which is very exciting, and they've had 3 reveals of new product added to Celebration. So there's a whole bunch of free stuff to choose from. And you can't possibly have it all, because I don't even have it all. I still have free stuff I want to order that I don't have yet. The other thing is, if you are at all considering becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator, either for a hobby or just to run a business and start a new career, now is the time to join my team, because when you join my team, you can choose up to $125 worth of any product in any catalog, including the clearance rack, and pay only $99. No shipping. The shipping is free. And you also receive 2 free stamp sets from any catalog. And that's just free, up to $101 value from Stampin' Up just for joining during celebration. So there's a few more days to join my team. We have a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous team. And I can't wait to see some of our team members in the next, 2 weeks when we go on stage to our demonstrator event. I'm going to Atlanta, so if any of you tuning in are demonstrators and you're attending in Atlanta, that's where I shall be, so you can look for me. And if you join my team, you automatically start getting a 20% discount on all orders, and that is over and above any sales and promotions that are presented for customers. We get to take advantage of those sales or promotions and get our bonus on top of it. So now is a fabulous time to join. This is the best time of year to join. Also, in the last few weeks, we've been talking about Paper Pumpkin. If you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, it's our monthly kit. It arrives in the mail every month, $20 a month, or if you visit my online store, you can purchase prepaid subscriptions for 3 months, 6 months, a year, or just a month if you want to try it. If you order prepaid, you can use the hostess code double dip. You can get the discount on your prepaid subscription and my free gift and my free cards. And if you just want to try it on a month-to-month basis, you can subscribe and get 50% off your first 2 months. And I'll have all the details for that posted not only on my website, but here on my Facebook page, and I will pin it to the top with this video when we're done with our live class. So you can just follow the links to subscribe under me. And I always send out free thank you cards using Paper Pumpkin product to my members when they join under me. And what else is going on? I guess the most important part is that you only have a few more days to take advantage of that celebration promotion. Again, all details can be found on my website, and special bonuses to those of you who use the hostess code that's exclusive to my Live at Fives. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Diana. Hi, Avenel. So welcome to my class. So this week, okay, there goes Baby Bo. Anyone familiar with Baby Bo knows his voice. He's very upset. He's not invited to class anymore. The last time he came to class, he was trying to jump on the table and get my attention away from you and was just chaotic. So Baby Bo's not invited. So he's locked downstairs and he's not impressed. So what do we need for our class for today? So today's class, little backstory. So today's class almost got canceled. I didn't have a project, and I've been so busy getting our home ready for sale, for being listed and put on the market, that I just didn't have a project. And I thought, how am I going to do this class? I'm going to have to cancel. Well, then I got the inspiration to create these cards. So this is what we're going to do today. I pulled a card out of the hat, a project out of the hat, and I'm so excited that I stuck with it because I hate having to cancel class because I don't have a project. And I think these projects are super duper cute. And there's a rhyme and reason behind these cards. So I asked myself this morning, do you consider yourself a crafter, or do you consider yourself a collector? And I must admit that looking around my craft room, I was leaning more towards being a collector than I was a crafter because of how much product I have and how much product I have that I've never used. So today's class was all about using products that I've had, that I've stashed away, that I wasn't using, that begged to be used. And how many of you can say the same thing? So we're going to dig deep into our stash, pull out our designer series paper, pull out some stamp sets that we haven't used or haven't used enough, that we just had to have and then sat on the shelf, and we're going to make some super cute cards. So what I want to say to those of you that are tuning in is, in the comment section, go through your stash in the next few days. Take a look through your piles of cardstock or your piles of designer series paper or your stacks and stacks of stamps, and start pulling out the ones that you haven't used. And I want to hear from everybody the name of a stamp set or the name of a designer series paper that you have that you haven't used, that you want to use, but you just haven't used it. You had to have it, but you haven't used it. And I'm going to challenge you, because if you post in the comment section the name of a stamp set or the name of a designer series paper that you have that fits the collector category as opposed to the crafter category, and I own that stamp set or I own that designer series paper, then I will create some projects using your selected or mentioned stamp set / designer series paper, and I will share with you in a future post or a future live what I come up with your named stamp set or designer series paper. And maybe we can help each other, because maybe I have that same stamp set or designer series paper in my stash that falls under my collector category that maybe I need to use too, and you can challenge me to use it, and then we can help each other. So that's the idea I have. And Kathy, you're saying you're a hoarder. Oops, I mean collector. Well, I'm right there with you, because I'm just out of my mind. And Tina is saying she tries to make sure she uses everything at least once. Well, good for you, because I can't tell you how many I found that had never seen ink. So I bought and I bought and I bought and I bought, and I had to have it and I had to have it, and I had all these great ideas, and then poof, I did nothing. So, you know, I'm there to help you, and in return, you can help me. So for starters, I decided I wanted to use some designer series paper, a stamp set that hadn't seen much love, and I wanted them to be able to coordinate. But it also needed to be quick and easy for a last minute class idea. So this is what I came up with. So I'm using the Pick a Pattern designer series paper. I did use this quite a bit in the very beginning for some notepads that I had given out with at my catalog launch back last spring, and then I hadn't used it since. I was hoarding it. So there's this really cute mushroom pattern, and then on the back is a green and white, I don't know, it's not really a checkered pattern, it's like, I don't know what you call it, but anyways, there's a green and white pattern on the back. Then there's back to school with pens and papers and scissors, but it was meant for probably back to school, but it also can be good for us crafters / collectors. And on the back is a really nice black and white pattern. Then there's this crushed curry and white, I don't know, bubbled spot pattern. And then on the back is the dinosaurs. And then there's this gorgeous, 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 gorgeous black and white pattern that I just love, and I'm hoarding it. Instead of using it, I'm hoarding it, I admit it. And then on the back is a really pretty flirty flamingo white and green and yellow floral pattern. Let's see, back to the mushrooms. Then there's these cameras, these old-fashioned cameras. I just think those are so cute. And again, I was hoarding it because once I used it, I wouldn't have it anymore. And we have to get over that. We have to get over the fact that once we use it, we don't have it anymore, because the whole point is to use it. And on the back is a nice white and crushed curry and black stripe. Then we're back to our florals and our mushrooms and our paper products. And then somewhere, this is the one that I was really hoarding. It's like a whole camping motif on the designer series paper. And I was hoarding this like you wouldn't believe, because we own a camper and we go camping. Of course, we camp in a fifth wheel. And it has a bigger TV than our house had. So I can't say it's camping, but we camp. So I was hoarding this paper, and I finally decided today I was going to cut it and use it. That was it. I was cutting it and using it. I have until the end of May. I have till the end of May to buy more packs if I need to. And on the back is another green and white geometric pattern. So I decided I was going to cut this up today and use it. So these are the cards that I came up with for using my designer series paper. And because, hi Rachel, how are you? So because I am a hoarder slash collector, I like to maximize my cuts on my designer series paper. There's nothing like having little pieces left over that make you feel like you're wasting your DSP. So I cut my sheet of DSP to 3 inches by 4 inches, because then I can get 12 pieces out of one sheet of cardstock. And yes, Kathy, you're a collector. We're all collectors. We're hoarders. We hoard our DSP and we pull it out and we look at it and we admire it and we love it. And then we're afraid to use it. And we're afraid once we use it, we won't have it anymore. So we put it back in the package and put it back on the shelf. And if I could show you how many shelves of DSP I have, you'd probably laugh at me because it's really bad. Years and years of DSP. So these are the cards I came up with. All right, so what do we need to do our cards? Well, I am going to make 3 cards. So we need 3 pieces of the thick Whisper White cardstock. These are cut 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So I have my 3. Then I have 3 pieces of my DSP. They are 3 inches by 4 inches. So this was all just cut down the row. And actually, I think this probably belonged to oh, no, this goes this way. So it was all cut 1 12-inch piece, cut a 3-inch strip, and then cut the 3-inch strips into 4 pieces. So I have 3 of those. And then on all of our Stampin' Up DSP, on the back of the package, it will list for you what colors were included in the designs in the pack. So we had Basic Black, Crushed Curry, Emerald Envy, Flirty Flamingo, Sahara Sand, and Whisper White. So I have the Whisper White for my card base. Then I have my Basic Black. I'm going to be using the Memento Black ink today. Then we have Crushed Curry. So I have a 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 piece of Crushed Curry. Then we have Emerald Envy. So I have a 3 1/8 by a 4 1/8 piece of that. Flirty Flamingo, again, 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 piece of that. And those are going to be for mounting my DSP onto. And then it mentions Sahara Sand. Well, what I decided to do was use crumb cake. And I'm going to color in my little squirrel here with, oh, you know what? I lied. I did use Sahara Sand. I was going to use crumb cake originally, and I did. I got the Sahara Sand. So I've got Sahara Sand in the form of a marker, and I'm going to use it to color in my squirrel. I also have my Emerald Envy ink. I'm going to use that to stamp all of the greetings on all 3 versions of my card. And then from my collection, I have some old retired Emerald Envy ribbon. And some of you may have some of this hanging around. I think this came out last Christmas, not Christmas of 2017, but 2016 maybe, when Emerald Envy was first introduced as an in color. Then I have some of the Flirty Flamingo ribbon, and this is what, rushed ribbon, and this is Flirty Flamingo. This was introduced again when Flirty Flamingo was first in color, so that came out of my collection, because along with DSP I collect ribbon. But if all else fails, we also have some crumb cake ribbon. This is current ribbon from the current annual catalog. This is the crumb cake cotton ribbon. I forget the exact name of it, but I'll have a link to it after this live. So if all else fails, you could use this ribbon. And I also have from our current annual catalog, some crushed curry solid baker's twine. And that's what I used here in this card. So there's always something current that you can use in your cards, but there's also no reason why you can't go to some of your retired collected product and use some of that as well. So even though we have the same piece of DSP on all of these cards, they all look completely different just due to the ribbon that I added, because that's the only change, except for the sentiment, but it's still stamped in the same color, is the only change between all three of these cards. But look at what a dramatic difference you get just by your change in ribbon. All right, so we have that. And then, because I was on the theme of things that you just had to have but weren't using, and when you hear this, some of you are going to be completely horrified, because I know I am. I received over a week ago my brand new Stamparatus. So this is the new Stampin' Up positioning tool, stamp positioning tool. And I have never had a stamp positioning tool before. So for those of you that may have or currently own a Misty, or I think I've heard that there's a Tim Holtz one out that many of you have, I've never had a stamp positioning tool ever. So this was my first one, and I'm just trying to get the light to not reflect off of that, but I think it's going to no matter what. This sat unopened on my desk for almost 2 weeks, and I hadn't used it. So I decided I was going to break it out for this class and use it. So I have used my Stamparatus for the very first time, and I used it to make these 3 cards. So I'm going to show you a little bit of some of the tips that I figured out on my own by using it for the very first time. And I have not really read too much about feedback regarding the Stamparatus. I've read a few things, but not a whole lot. So all the insights that you're going to get from me today are purely from my trial and error making my 3 cards. So why don't we get started making our cards, because I know that's what we're all here for. So we're going to start by stamping our sentiment on the front of our cards. And I'm going to hope I do this right, because I can't do it with my glasses and I can't do it without my glasses. So I'm going to do it whichever way is easiest. So all of my cards, I positioned the sentiment in the bottom right-hand corner using the Stamparatus, and they're all in the same spot. So we're going to start, we have our 3 card bases. So what I decided is I used all photopolymer stamps. So I have my photopolymer stamps here, and I used the grids, and I don't know if you can see these, but there's grid lines on the plates that come with the Stamparatus. And I'm not sure how you can see this exactly, but there are grid lines there, so you can use them to help you align your stamps in a straight line. So this hinge system, you just pop it right into your hinges, and now they can move around. So what I did, and I also made a little scrap so I could do some tests. I made a little scrap that was cut to the exact same size as my card front while I was teaching myself how to use this. So what I decided is I was going to line the front top right corner to the outside edge of this hinge piece. Okay? And then I was using my magnet, and because I have heard that these magnets are super, super strong, so you don't want them to be near each other because they can snap each other in half. So I'm only using 1 magnet, and I have found that only using 1 magnet is plenty. I don't need 2 on 1 project. 1 has been just fine. Of course, I've only made 3 cards, so I could change my opinion on that, but for the 3 cards I've been making that I made, it worked fine for me having the 1 magnet. So I'm going to ink up with my Emerald Envy my greeting that I've already positioned on my Stamparatus. And if you don't have a Stamparatus, you can always use your Stamp-A-Majig and have the same outcome. Or you can order a Stamparatus when it becomes available in the June annual catalog. So one thing I do need is Q-tips. All right, so what I've discovered is if you use the large ink pads, sometimes you get the ink pad marks on your Stamparatus. And so far, I have not transferred ink from the Stamparatus plate to my cardstock because there's just enough difference between the height of the stamp and the height of the Stamparatus plate to not transfer the ink. But I found it was just easiest to come with a little Q-tip and remove some of that ink. I don't want to use a baby wipe because I'm afraid I might, putting moisture on there, it may transfer. And the dry Q-tip will just take that right off. So I'm going to go down and press a little bit and up. And now you have this greeting. Well, I decided that I wanted my greeting darker, okay? I thought that just looked a little bit too light. So I came back with my ink pad, and I'm trying not to reflect that light bulb right back up to you guys. We're not in a studio here, we're in my craft room, and I have light bulbs from desk lamps trying to put more light on my projects, but I don't want to reflect the light bulb back to you. So I'm just going to, again, take my Q-tip and wipe some of that off. And again, you could use a baby wipe. I'm just afraid of the moisture content. And we're going to go down and press and up again. And look how it just perfectly put that stamped image right over the top. So with the Stamp-A-Majig, it's rare you're going to get such a perfect second layer. So I do really like with the Stamparatus how you can restamp it perfectly a second time and not get any halos or shift in image or anything. I thought that was fabulous. So I was impressed with that. So now on this hinge, because the Stamparatus has the double hinge system, I have my squirrel. So I'm just going to take my black and I'm going to ink my little squirrel. And I do have some black ink on that plate. So I'll just take it off with the Q-tip. And then I can come down with my little squirrel. And there he is. Okay, so this would have taken 2 seconds if I weren't explaining it, but I'm explaining it, so it took a little longer. So now we have that one. I'm going to bring in the next card, line it up where I've already predetermined to the right outside edge of that hinge. And since we have already played with the squirrel, I'll ink up my squirrel again. And that time I made a major mess on my plate. I could feel it rocking. And then we're just going to go down and up. And there's my squirrel. And his little head, I can see that his head isn't quite as dark as I wanted because I didn't press hard enough on my little squirrel. So I can go down and up. And there's my squirrel, a little darker. Again, I didn't press his head hard enough. I think I'm too worried about pressing too hard. I didn't press hard enough. So now I can flip and rotate, and I have a different sentiment on this side of the hinge. So I can grab my Emerald Envy again, and I'm just going to fix his head with a marker. For some reason, I just didn't press his head hard enough. All right, so now I have a different sentiment. And again, I have all sorts of ink And I'm not going to risk transfer, so just wipe it off with a towel. So now I can go down with that sentiment, and that's perfect. So we're not going to make that any darker. So we'll pull that out. And now I have one more. Whoops, my crushed curry got stuck. I've got one more. So I'm going to line that up there. And this time, I've got my little squirrel because he's already on there. Ink that up good. Just gonna wipe off my mess. Come down, and this time I'll press on his head, and see how much better that was just because I pressed on his head. This time I'm going to pull this out and rotate it because I have my other sentiment on the back side. And I'm gonna ink that up with the Emerald Envy. And again, I'm rocking my pad. Some say that the Stampin' Spots that you can buy that are uninked and you can ink them yourselves with your choice of colors are perfect for the Stamparatus. But I don't have those, so I have to make do. So on this one, I have to move it over one hinge. Okay, because when I lined that up on the plate, I had inadvertently moved it over one hinge. So now I can come down, and now I have my happy birthday. So you see how that has some curve to it? That is because, and I should have checked this on my template before I stamped it, but of course I didn't. So here's a learning curve for you. The stamp set that I used is the In the Trees stamp set. So the Happy Birthday in the photopolymer automatically had a curve to it. And when I made my sample earlier today, I had taken the curve out when I put it on my Stamparatus. So if you can see here, the Happy Birthday is perfectly straight. Well, then I washed it in the sink and a couple of hours passed, and apparently I just learned through error that after waiting that long, the photopolymer well, I don't want to say given up, but it had kind of started to return to its normal shape. So since we already made that one, I'm going to pull this off. But what you can do, if you're not going to let it sit for a couple of hours before you do a project and aren't going to sample it before you go live, you actually can use the grid lines here on the plate, and you can shape and stretch your photopolymer so that it's straighter. So what I had done earlier is I had tested it out on my scrap paper, and see how perfectly straight that had actually stamped as compared to my sample. After leaving it sit for a couple hours and not testing it, see how it had returned to its curve. So just so you know, you can get a curved photopolymer stamp to go straight on your Stamparatus and then stamp the greeting straight. Or then again, on your Stamparatus or any block, you could take like this Happy Birthday that has a slight curve and make it severely curved and then stamp with it. But apparently you can't let it go for, 4 hours and then come back to it, because it did return to its curved self. But that's how you learn, folks. You go live and you make mistakes, and then you say, hey, guess what we just learned? Don't let your stamp sit on the Stamparatus for 4 hours and then expect it to still be perfectly straight the way you left it. Better I learn it live than you guys learn it by an oops on your card. Okay, so now we have our 3 card bases, and we're going to pretend that that happy birthday is straight, right? Okay, so the rest of our cards, we're going to get rid of our ink. And I'm going to close up all my ink pads because that's how I end up having crises. And now we're just going to put our cards together. So we have our 3 cards with all their greetings stamped. And then we have our 3 pieces of DSP and our 3 pieces of coordinating cardstock. And I'm just going to put those together, and I'm going to just pick a core color from whatever piece I have and put them together. And I'm just trying to see, I really want to pull whatever key color jumps out at me from my paper. And I'm using Fast Fuse here just because I can use it really quickly, but you can use any adhesive that you desire, the Fast Fuse or the Snail liquid glue. I use that a lot. I actually like liquid glue because it's forgiving as opposed to the Fast Fuse, which is just not gonna forgive me for putting this piece on very crooked. I can't fix that one. So don't you love it? I just trashed a card because I used Fast Fuse. And it didn't forgive me. You know, this only happens when you're live. I want you to know that. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it happens to you guys when you're in your craft room. All right, so I ripped it. I ripped it apart. I saved it. I lost my piece of cardstock, but I saved the DSP. So I'm going back to my liquid glue. I should know better than to use Fast Fuse live. It can never end well. So I'm just going to use liquid glue. I love my Fast Fuse, but man, does it not forgive anything. I mean, once that Fast Fuse sticks, it is stuck. All right. So, I salvaged the DSP. That's all that matters, right? When all else fails, save the DSP. All right, just get some goobies off of there from the Fast Fuse disaster. All right, so that's stuck down. And then this one is calling Emerald Envy to me. So we're gonna put some glue down on that. I don't know if you guys are even laughing at me. Hi, Linda, how are you? You're a little late. I started late. It's all good. It's always the replay. Okay, so there's my Emerald Envy. And then this one is gonna be Crushed Curry. But I'm gonna show, I think on this one, I'm gonna show you what I did. There goes Baby Bo on this one. So see how this one has a bit of that green showing? Well, how did I do that? Okay. All I did is grab my trimmer. Oh, Bo is very unhappy. And I cut off from a side that wasn't going to cause me grief. I just cut off 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. That I think was 1/2 of an inch. But I don't want to cut off this hedgehog's face. Can you see my hedgehog there? Let me move everything up. I don't want to cut his nose off. So I'm going to have to just do this one at 1/4 of an inch. Because I don't want to cut my hedgehog's nose off, but I do want to show this to you. So I'll take that 1/4 of an inch off. And on this one, it was 1/2 an inch. But I refused to cut off a hedgehog's nose. You can't cut somebody's face off intentionally. I mean, if it happens just because of the measurement for the DSP. That's one thing, but you can't intentionally cut an animal's face off. At least I can't. All right, so now on this one, I just kept it tight to the left edge. Okay. So that's tight to the left edge. And then I'm just gonna take my teeny little strip here. I don't know if the, oh, I did it backwards. Oh my gosh. Don't do as I do, do as I say. We're putting that aside. Because I just messed it up. Can you believe it? What a dummy. That's what happens. Can you seriously craft and talk at the same time? Because apparently I'm having a problem doing that. So, forget it. Like I said, if it doesn't happen live, you're lucky. So I'm just gonna cut another piece. And then I'm gonna cut this 3x4. So now you get to see how I did it, right? So we'll put that aside for another project. Come in with another crushed curry piece. Oh great, now I'm gonna cut the butt off of a mouse. Ugh, I can't cut that one. I'm sorry, I can't cut the face off an animal. I just can't. This is a good one. So we'll come over here and we'll cut off a 1/2 inch. All right, so we're just gonna start this over again. All right, so now we're gonna start over. So we've got our 3" by 4" piece. And I'm just going to put this one down to the left-hand corner. I mean the right-hand corner. And get it centered, which is another reason why I like my glue. Gives me flexibility. Can't listen and craft at the same time? No, I can't. I cannot listen, and I cannot talk, and I cannot craft at the same time. All right. So now I've got it the correct side up. And now I just flipped it over, butted it up against the edge of this piece, and now you have your opposite. That makes more sense, right? No, Debbie, I never heard you say no. One of these days, I'm going to invite a guest stamper to class. Because you think it's so easy, and then you try to do it, and it's like, this is not easy. It's too funny. I should go back to pre-recorded YouTube videos, because then I can, when I make a mistake, I can just stop recording, re-record, splice it all together. All right, so now we have all our panels. So now it's just a matter of deciding what ribbon. So I think on this one, I should use the Emerald Envy because it keys in with the Emerald Envy background, but I actually think I like the crushed curry on that. So let's see what that looks like. We've got the crushed curry twine. Because theoretically, the one I flipped should have been on the Emerald Envy piece. But you know what? Sometimes creativity is born and you don't even realize it's happening. And why do they all have to be the same, right? All right. I'm not so sure that I'm gonna like that. So let's see about over here. Oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, I like this. Sticking with the theme, right? All right. So let's see what we think of this. I don't know, what do you think? You like the crushed curry? You like the crushed curry with the crushed curry cardstock as opposed to the crushed curry twine with the Emerald Envy? I kind of like this. I think I'd rather keep the twine or ribbon to coordinate with the cardstock in the background. I mean, I know I could have done it either way, but I don't know. I kind of like it that way. I think I want to keep my coordinating ribbon. Okay. And I decided that today I'm ordering the Glamper Greetings stamp set because I don't have it yet, believe it or not. I fell in love with it when it came out, last year's Celebration catalog, and then it got carried over to the annual catalog this year. And can you believe that I still don't have it? So when I started playing with this card today, I thought the Glamper Greetings would go awesome with this designer series paper, and I didn't own it yet. So it went in my shopping cart. So now I'm gonna have to buy more of this paper so that I have it to use with the stamp set. Okay, so this, I think, let's see, would look cute with a happy birthday. So I'm just gonna put this on the front. And I really wish I had tested that sentiment first and realized that it had curled itself again, because then it wouldn't be curved. But it's curved, it is what it is. So isn't that cute? I just love when the designer series paper can be the star of the card and not have to compete with anything else. So have a wonderful day. I think I'm going to put this one on the Have a Wonderful Day. And that means I need some of that ribbon. So I have my retired ribbon. So what I suggest to you is when these in colors are retiring, which is what, in a month and a half that they're retiring, which is your Flirty Flamingo and the Emerald Envy and Dapper Denim and what's the other one? It's Sweet Sugar Plum. Those. I would stock up on all of the ribbon. Make sure you have your ring anchors. Look for your coordinating. I'm not going to be able to tie a bow now. Look for your coordinating designer series papers and collect all of that stuff before it gets retired. Because once the retiring list is announced, it's all going to sell out super fast, and then we won't be able to get it, and I can't tie a bow. And you want to get it now before Stampin' Up! Announces the retiring list from the whole collection from the annual catalog. Because these ribbons, I tell you, having the coordinating ribbon and the coordinating designer series paper and everything for our inks, it's just gold. It's golden. You just can't coordinate by going to Michael's or going to AC Moore or going to Walmart and trying to find a coordinating ribbon or designer series paper, because it's just not going to happen. And that's actually why I started with Stampin' Up! To begin with, was because I was trying to coordinate the colors by going to Michael's and AC Moore and everything. And it was a disaster. I couldn't find anything that matched. I hated, just because you bought a red at Michael's, you couldn't match that exact red to any other product line. It was insane. I was driving myself crazy, and I'm a matchy person. I like everything to match. I don't like having my reds different tones or different shades of red. So, and then if you see some of these products like the ribbons or the designer series papers that come onto the clearance rack from time to time, that's when you really need to grab them and stock up. Because not only then do you have your ribbons and trims that coordinate with these papers and these colors, but you also get them at a discount. You get them at a huge steal. So the clearance rack stuff, when you see all the ribbons and the twines and things of that nature hit the clearance rack, you gotta grab those. All right. So now I'm just gonna put this, as I fought forever to make my bow. Okay, so now I've got that on the front of that card, and that card's done. And now we just have we need to hang out more. I think that's wicked cute. And I have friends that have campers, and these are the folks that are going to get these cards because we need to go camping together more. So here's more of this ribbon. And I'm going to move this over a little. I don't want to lose the whole camper, so I'm going to move that over a bit. And I'm not going to tie this one in a bow. I'm just going to tie a nice, simple knot. Just like I did on this card, I just tied a really simple knot. So, just going to center. I'm just going to tie this knot where it's semi-centered. So I have equal lengths of ribbon, and then I can slide it. I can slide it into position after it's tied. And it's so funny. I can tie a knot in a nanosecond when I'm sitting here by myself, but ask me to tie a knot in front of people with all eyes on me, forget it, it's not happening. Okay. So there's one end of my knot, and there's the other end of my knot. And then I can just kind of slide it up, maybe there-ish. Yeah, that looks good. And bring back in my dimensionals. So I'm just using dimensionals to put all of these on the front of my card. Sorry, I didn't mention that sooner, but I'm sure you saw me do it and knew what I was doing. All right. So just pick these backings off. Throw them aside. I'm sure I'm just like you. I have all these dimensional bits that I have to throw away after. All right, so we're just going to center that. See if I got that straight on the front. So there's that one. So I have 1, 2, 3 made. And then I just need to grab my Sahara sand marker. And I'm just going to lightly color in my little squirrel. And it doesn't have to be perfect because the designer series paper, if you can see, the coloring actually goes outside the lines on that. So there you go. There's your 3 cards. And now I have a 6-card set here. So we've got this one, and this one that we just made. And then I have this one, and that one, and the one I lost. There it is. And this one that I made earlier. So there's 6 cards. And I still, from one sheet of designer series paper, I still have 3 that I can cut from this piece. The 2 that I cut when I had to fix my oops. And then I still have my oops piece that I can fix. And the way I'm going to fix that is I'm just going to bring back in the one I put the glue on the wrong side because I was so bright. All I have to do is stick that back down, and I'll just cover the seam with ribbon. And you won't even know there's a seam there. So I lost nothing. The only thing I lost during this live video is my poor piece of torn Flirty Flamingo. Oh well, it was a casualty for the greater good. So I can turn this one into a card just by putting a piece of ribbon over that seam and no one will know. And then I'll have 12 cards from one sheet of paper, just from strategic cutting. So there's today's card class. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, I kind of made a mess, but you know, that's okay. And I'm trying to find what I did with my hostess code. What did I do with my hostess code? Oh, there it is. I got it. So again, if this class has inspired you either to pick up some of this gorgeous designer series paper or the stamp set that I used on my card, which is the In the Trees, then you can jump on over to my stampininthesand.stampinup.net website, go into my online store, and be sure to use this hostess code when you place your orders so you can receive your free cards and free gifts from me in the mail. And as soon as I sign off from this class, I will go and create the links to the products for you so you know what we used in this class. Sorry, I'm a little behind this week because of preparing for getting our house on the market. So if I can get to it this week, I'll put together that step-by-step tutorial for you for this card. And if you're sticking with me, thank you, Denise. I'm glad you thought that this was a cute set of cards. I thought they came out really cute. If you're sticking with me, Thursday, I'm thinking of starting a Throwback Thursday series where we revisit some of our oldies but goodies from the past and create some card projects with them, and then bring them to today and create the same card design and the same layout using some current stamp sets. So if that's something that appeals to you and there are some oldies but goodies out there that you'd like to see me feature, then please let me know, and I would be inspired to maybe use some of those in some future cards. Because then again, we aren't collectors, we're crafters. So we need to use what we have in our stash. We can't just keep adding, right? We got to show some love to some of these oldies but goodies and products that we just had to have and then never got around to using. So let's be inspired to use our products and get them dirty and show them some love and ink them up. So I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and I will be back on Thursday. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for visiting my page. I hope you enjoyed the projects, and I will see you again on Thursday. Happy stamping, everybody. Bye.